Hi, this is Bob Weiss. I'm the host of Shaking Your World. Cheers. Folks, welcome home. Yet another edition of Shaking Your World. We have the lovely and talented Joanne from the state of Pennsylvania to help us today to make a traditional seasonal dish, Italian dish called Cappalletti. And I believe that means
little hats.
Little hats. So it's a little labor intensive, and we're going to have a little fun constructing this. I have begun by taking some chicken parts, actual chicken parts, and making a chicken stock. So to show you there's no bones about what I'm going to do with this, we will first take off the bones. So we're going to strain this and transfer it back into this pan or pot because we will be using this as an integral part of this. Then we're going to take some chicken breast that we have, sourced at the market, simple chicken breast, and we're going to mulch that down. And then I'll saute that, and that will be a component that's going to get stuffed inside of these little hats. At the same time, Joanne's going to be making a dough out of duck eggs and all-purpose flour and oil, of course, and a few other things that I'm sure we'll discover as we get along the process. I hope you enjoy, and we look forward to your comments. So let's have some fun. First things first. If you'd be so kind as to hold that for me.
Yeah.
So all that's in here is a simple mirepoix. So I've got carrots, and I've got onions, and I've got celery, a variety of different spices, some bay leaf, some oregano, just a touch of tarragon, salt and pepper, and really could not be easier. So we're stringing this out. Get a few other solids out of here. I think it's probably okay if we leave one or two little pieces of something in here, would you say?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All natural, all flavor, all good. So with this, we can take just a pie pan and stick it there for an instant. So if you want to put it up there, yay! And then this goes into here. There is nothing quite like homemade chicken stock. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment, how easy it is to make your own chicken stock at home. You can certainly purchase any number of things at the market that are very viable choices, but this is how simple this is. So I've got some water that's been boiling away, and all I've got in here is just a little bit of olive oil to begin the process. I'm going to take a chicken, and this is about a 3-pounder standard chicken. This came from Cermak Market today, just to show you how easy this is. You don't need to have something that comes from our purveyor. Going to give it a good look on the inside. It looks fine. Just as protocol, I'm going to rinse it out with some cold water first. So just take an instant. I don't think we need to get caught up in the discussion of using organic chickens at this point. For what we're doing for soup, this will be just marvelous. If you have access to an organic chicken, by all means, use that. Nothing like fresh anything. So that's just going to go in our pot right now. I'm going to throw in some carrot that I have already sliced up. So just in a traditional, again, the French system, I'm going to have some carrot, some celery. This is all just a coarse chop because we're going to strain this off. So if you can, equal parts by weight of the onion and the celery. And you notice that for the onion, I'm leaving the skin on. I like to take some of the color and have that transfer forward as well. I just think it makes for a nicer presentation. There's really no flavor that goes along with that. At this point, just a little bit of pepper, just because. I'm going to hold off on the salt at this point to see what we're like when we're done with that. So that is the beginning of our stock. That's just going to sit there and simmer away for hours. And the longer it sits, the more flavor you're going to extract from the bones. So you can tell when it's done because when you can find at some point after several hours, if you pick up something that's got a bony part to it, like a wing or something, or a drumstick, and you snap it, it's going to crack because the moisture is actually exuded out along with the collagens. Anyway, we don't care about that now. That's just going to work its own magic. We got these parts. We don't need these anymore. This goes off to the side. There's much that we can do with that, though. Do not throw that out. You can use that for tacos. You can use that for stuffing for almost anything you want. It's really good food. Nothing like a natural chicken soup, especially on a day like today. Milwaukee has had temperatures in the 80s and 90s up until just like yesterday.
Right.
And now we're approaching something in the 50s. So it's an interesting day today. So here we are, we got this. I've also got some leek present, and since I've got leek, again, this leads a little bit more to the French style. Once you get further down a leek, you have to make sure that you clean this to get the sand out. We're okay up here in the green portion. So this can also go in here. Yes, it's part of the onion family, but it's not going to make it taste oniony. It just really rounds out the flavors, which is what I think we want to accomplish here. That's out of the way. Now our chicken. Again, just standard chicken breast from the market. This looks like about the biggest guy that we got here. We're going to open up our food processor, stick him in there, oil it up just a little bit. It's obviously it's fresh, it's got its own moisture, but just give it a little bit more something to spin on. Cheddar, cheddar, cheddar. There?
Yeah, that was good.
Perfect. There we are. So we got this little guy here. Pull off our dome. Take us out this way. Move this off to the side for the moment because we're done both with the dome and with the other breasts. But we will be doing a chicken piccata today, which I think would be an extraordinary accompaniment to this dish. So we have chicken in hats and chicken out of hats. So Joanne, when you do this portion of your chicken, and you probably, I mean, it's easier if you don't have a processor just to go to your butcher shop or whatever you're using for a butcher shop and ask them to mulch this or grind this for you. You could do it yourself at home with a knife and a bench. It works just as well. Just a little faster for us this way. So you got this. It's just going to work away, and we're just going to. Our only intent, I believe, is just to saute this and have it cooked.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So a touch more olive oil would be appropriate on this.
Yes.
I have one garlic clove because in Joanne's original recipe, she's using like a seasoned Italian breadcrumb. We're using panko here, so I want to get the flavors going into it a little bit. So just a touch of black peppercorn, a touch of oregano, and since it's here, a little bit of garlic salt just because we can. If you have thyme would be a natural accompaniment to this as well. But again, you don't need a lot of seasoning at this point, right?
Correct.
Okay. This is Joanne's recipe.
You've done this before, huh?
Not
Cooked once or twice?
Well, once or twice. Once or twice. All right, so that's just going to work itself and do its own little magic for a while. We'll watch that so it doesn't burn. Keep feeding more olive oil to it because it's thirsty. It wants the olive oil. This is an extra virgin olive oil that is from Greece, not from Italy, but I'm sure it's all going to be harmonious.
It's okay.
All right, so that's working there, and we got ourselves some flour. We got some APF flour here, and we have some eggs, duck eggs, and we have olive oil, and we have Joanne, who's now going to play with the dough, and here we go.
All right.
As our great ventilation blows the flour around us.
Do you have a fork? Because I tell I usually, or whisks. I guess I could whisk.
Well,
There we go.
just happen to have a couple small whisks here.
Take the little one.
Why not?
We'll go two.
2 eggs to start with. I like that. Now they say that duck eggs have twice the amount of fat in them than hen eggs. They say a lot of things. I'm not sure about that. I suppose it depends upon the species of duck and what its feed is. These are also from the farmer's market. So these are free-range duck eggs.
Gonna need another egg. Looks kind of dry. We got more flour to get in there.
Yeah, well, we have more eggs and more flour. We're good. So that's one of the things that kills me on recipes. They'll often say just use 2 eggs or 3 eggs or something else. And I have found in the decades I've been doing stuff like this that every egg is just a little bit different. And just like people. And sometimes you just got to get a little more egg or a little less egg. And
Do we need some salt for in here?
you like salt's right there.
Oh, got it.
And a bench knife if you'd like to use those.
That'll work better than my hand.
No, nothing's better than your hands. Get that silicone.
Yes.
Yeah. And a little stirry thing as you're doing that. Is there a region of Italy that this is from?
Well, I believe that our family is, that part of the family, that side of the family is from southern Italy.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure,
Sure.
if it is a southern Italian thing or not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going in.
Now, since we have this lovely KitchenAid right here, you probably could have done that in the bowl of the KitchenAid itself as well, right?
Yes. But my mother-in-law said, this is how you do it. Don't use the machine. So I follow her instructions.
I agree wholeheartedly, and there's something about cooking and then getting your hands into it as well
Right.
that I think just really makes it, you're cooking with love, man. You're cooking for people that you really care about. And the opportunity just to really get in there to play with it, it's almost zen-like to me, and I like that.
Mixing dough it's kind of, as it's
And it's therapeutic as well, isn't it?
therapeutic as
Yeah.
it gets smoother. Is that the right word? Dough
Sure.
comes together.
Sure.
All right, a little crumbly, a little more moisture.
So what consistency are you looking for? Like a Play-Doh or like a...
Yes,
Okay.
more of a Play-Doh. Very smooth.
Mm-hmm. Shame that Evan's not here to tell you how to do this, but well,
Should I put another egg in, do you think?
I think so. I would
right.
probably recommend that. Let me
Yep.
grab one for you. I'm on your right.
Thank you.
Now these duck eggs do have a beautiful color to them. So
Yes, I was noticing the dough is a lot more yellow than when I use a regular chicken egg.
they say, however, that they all taste the same. But again, they say a lot of things.
They're right. Now I think I need a little more flour because it's really wet.
Well, you could find a little more flour
Just-
somewhere. It's right behind me. Mm-hmm. Magically move somewhere.
Maybe just sprinkle the bench. Thanks.
Not just therapeutic. You're getting a workout.
Now it's starting to feel better.
Cool. So does Greg spend time in the kitchen cooking with you on this?
Not at all.
Not at part of
Not
it.
at all.
No, it's too bad. I don't think Greg knows what he's missing.
Well, he just waits for the
End
the end result. Correct. But my daughter-in-law has, and she's anxious to make them again. So
Cool.
I'm happy to have another set of hands to help out.
Yep. All right, our chicken, not that you need it at the moment, is done. And I'm just going to take that down, leave it on a real little heat.
Next time I'll try it in the mixer. Maybe it won't take as long.
Maybe. But again, won't be as fun.
This is true. It's good to get messy.
Smell marvelously aromatic. That's in part because the chicken that we just sauteed off. It's also because the stock is still working away from something I started several hours ago, and the stock that we got working at the moment right here. So we're all happy with everything here. I'm going to turn this down to a simmer, which you should too. So once you attain that boil with your chicken, then bring it down. You can let that go for 3 or 4 hours, and the longer the time it takes, the more flavor you'll extract both from the produce that's here and for the chicken. Now, back to today's task. Here we are. Got your dough. We got our dough machine attachment on the KitchenAid.
We got to finish the filling first.
What do you want me to do with this?
So remove from the heat, and we would add the cheese, the breadcrumbs, salt, pepper.
Okay.
Or if you did salt and pepper, so maybe we don't need to add any more.
So how much of the Parmesan do you need in here?
Kind of eyeball it. I mean, cheese is good.
Say when.
Okay.
Okay. You can always add more. Not as easy to take it out. Breadcrumbs too?
Yep.
We're using panko. It's, for those that don't know, it's frankly, Japanese breadcrumbs are made from bread that doesn't have a crust on it. So it's going to play a little bit differently in a lot of cultures. So I'm just going to mix this together a little bit.
And another egg.
And another egg goes in here. If you don't mind.
Oh, we got them out.
They moved over here. Okay. Clever eggs.
One egg. We'll see. Should we use the big one?
You want the jumbo? I would.
Do.
Okay.
Yes. That is big. Bigger than I thought. Double yolk. Then mix it all up, and then we probably have to food process it to get it more pasty.
Yep. All right. Well, we can probably then stick it in our processor now. Let me rinse out the raw chicken. I'll be right back.
This is traditionally a holiday meal, but my family likes it so much that I've tried to make it a few times throughout the year. But my mother-in-law's family, where the recipe originated, this was what they did on Christmas Eve. After they had their 7 fishes dinner, then when they were all done and cleaned up, they then sat down and made this for Christmas Day.
Wow.
Refrigeration back then wasn't a big thing, so they made it at the last moment. And then through the years, my mother-in-law would make it for Thanksgiving.
So truly a labor of love, the entire process, right?
Yes.
Right. Let's use a slotted spoon that might facilitate getting that in the processor. Heavy pans, I know.
Yeah, I can't lift that.
All right, so pans lug your way.
Lid. Did we lose it? Oh.
Whoops. Well, this little guy's tricky. So when you load her up, you got to have the
Oh, the blade wasn't in all the way?
blade's got to be in all the way. Sorry.
I thought it was down.
Yeah, no problem. All good. So take a plate, and we'll transfer everything back to this for a moment. Cooking, after all, is an adventure. It's not an exact science.
For sure.
Just made that up, but it sounds right.
Should put that on the t-shirt.
Yeah, why not? Alrighty, so from there to here to here. These crafty French with their labor-saving devices So what are you looking for in the consistency of this guy at this point?
Just kind of pasty. Very fine.
Okay. Well, you can decide when to pull that off. I'll be right back.
That'll work.
Perfect. If you want a spatula, that might work a little better at this point.
You're right.
Got lots of fun tools here at the restaurant. We should use them all. And again, the smells are just extraordinary. All these things are just working together. Happiness. It just smells like happiness.
All right.
And I think we're done with the processor now, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, you go over here. Oh, good. Just to keep that kind of moist till we're ready to do whatever. Do you want it to dry or keep it moist?
Moist. Oh,
Keep the flies up there.
okay. That works too.
Raining outside, we have flies.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay, so
Yep,
about a third.
Yeah, just small batches.
Okay.
To
And what do we want to put this onto? Just a standard plate?
no, actually, I'm just going to lay it across the bench.
Perfect.
That'll work.
Perfect. And the marbles of the KitchenAid.
Yep. And this takes a few passes through.
Sure. Don't get your fingers stuck in there.
So you want to make squares as best as you can. So kind of trim the dough to get a good shape. You don't want to make them too big because they are little hats.
And I'm going to bet that this knife will work a little bit better for you.
I sometimes use just a paring knife just
Sure.
to do that kind of
Okay.
thing.
Well then,
Just
I did bring in just a really cool little knife for you to use, but I see it's
I think that would work. Yeah, something like that. That'll work. Thank you. So then take your square,
Uh-huh.
small amount of filling,
Uh-huh.
kind of go in there in a rectangle. You don't want to go too much filling because then it comes out, you lose it when you cook it.
Sure.
Fold them up and pinch. And this is my technique,
Oh,
and there it is.
isn't that cute?
And now you just keep going.
Uh-huh. All right, well, we'll be watching as you keep going.
Okay,
It's fun.
and I'll be here.
So we got about I guess just under a pound of chicken breast on here. And our simple little 2 cups of flour kind of thing. What is our yield going to be, do you think?
I'm gonna say 100 of them.
Wow. Okay. So what temperature do you want this to be at?
Boiling.
Full boil? Soft boil?
I don't know. I didn't know there were different degrees of boil.
So
That's boiling. I
Okay,
guess
so
that'll
kind of
work.
like this? Okay. I'll just keep it right there then.
You got to make sure they stay together. I've tried different techniques when I have them like this. I put filling on all of them. Not really sure which one is faster. You're still pinching each one and putting each one together.
Well, once you got your technique down, it looks like this is going to go pretty fast. Better go faster if I assisted, wouldn't it?
If you like.
Not really, but I want to give it a shot. I
All
mean, I
right.
kind of have to. So. So you call these little hats. I'm almost thinking about Groucho Marx kind of a skit with Harpo and wearing his little hat.
I tend to roll them more like a tortellini. That's how I do it. My mother-in-law, somehow, hers looked like a little hat. And she showed me several times, and I could never quite get that shape. Once in a while, one will turn out like that. But they all taste as good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Cool. So, how many of these do you suppose you've done in your lifetime?
Oh, wow. Well, for when I just make them myself, for my family, for a regular, Tuesday night dinner, I have to make at least 250 because my boys count them in their bowl to make sure that someone didn't get more than they got. So you would probably have at least 30 of them for your average serving.
Wow. So are these going to go typically into like a tomato stock or broth or something, or?
We just serve them in a chicken broth, but you could do a red sauce on them. You could do a white Alfredo sauce.
Uh-huh.
I've even tried changing up the filling just because instead of chicken, I did ham and did a Alfredo sauce.
Sounds cool.
Over them, and peas.
Like a little Parma ham kind of thing, or?
Yeah. I just used ham left over from Easter. Processed it up, put it in there, used all the same ingredients.
Anyone notice?
They noticed. They know. Well, they know, yeah.
I can't believe that your husband doesn't do this with you. This is so much fun. Does he know what he's missing?
I know. Convince him. But little do they know, as the chef, I get more than all of them because I have to taste them as I'm cooking them to make sure they're
quality
cooked
control,
through.
of course.
Oop, hey, we finished. I should have been making more dough. Too much.
So at this rate, it's going to take you probably another 20 minutes to fill this pan up.
It sure will.
Maria, want to have some fun?
Alrighty.
Come on back. We're going to have our sous chef, Maria, come here and she'll assist you in putting these together.
Okay, I got a lot of. Oh, great. That's not good. Try to keep it a good square shape, but that doesn't always happen. There's a few peppercorns from the bench stuck in there. Try to keep the squares small.
Okay.
As you do this and you get tired, the squares start to get bigger and bigger. All right, and then from here, just grab a small amount.
Okay.
Don't want to load it too much because it leaks out
Okay.
when you're cooking. Fold them into a triangle, pinch it really well, and then you're just making a knot, a little circle.
Perfect.
There we go.
So I moved here from Pittsburgh about a month ago. The restaurant that I was working at before here, we had just started our pasta program with one of the fellows who won second place in the International Pasta Expo. So before coming to our pasta program, he worked at this place called Fish Nor Fowl, which is one of the big restaurant chains in Pittsburgh. We kind of brought him over to our way. We have a lot of different types of hand-rolled pasta that he was bringing in. So he used to show us a lot about, all the different types of fillings and flours and stuff that would help make your pasta something that kind of stood out in the restaurant industry. He was a really cool guy. He has a huge following on social media. So I ended up learning a lot from him and just learning about him and watching the things that he's done and the competitions that he's entered. And so it was a really positive experience for me. Got to take some stuff away from that I wasn't expecting to take away until we started that pasta program.
I've tried several different ways of doing this to make it more like a production line that you could do them quicker. Doesn't make a difference.
I think it just comes down to like what you're comfortable with.
Right. The best way is to have friends and relatives with you, and everybody just sits around the table and
drinks some wine and
drinks
rolls
some wine
pasta.
and talks, and before you know it, you've made thousands.
Have to get you making some Pittsburgh pierogies.
Oh, yes. Well, when I make them too big, my family will tease me. Are these pierogies? They're awfully big.
It's so crazy too with pasta dough how it looks so thin, but you really want to get it almost translucent when you're making it, because even though it looks super thin, by the time it's cooked, if you don't have it rolled out thin enough,
Right.
it's just going to be super, super thick, and you can never tell just whenever it's raw and you haven't cooked it yet.
When I'm rolling it, I kind of judge by putting my hand behind it.
Yeah.
And if you can't see your hand, then keep rolling. It's not thin enough.
For sure. Imagine doing this back in the days too, when all you had was a rolling pin and several little fingers to help you out. It's so hard just with a rolling pin to get that dough super thin.
Yes, my mother-in-law uses a pasta machine, but just one that attaches to the table, and you hand crank it. And I tried that. I don't have enough hands to do all the things that I need to do between trying to hold the dough and crank at the same time, and then realizing the speed that you're cranking is affecting whether the dough is thin enough.
For sure. So for Christmas, a lot of people always make cookies, but I have always made cannoli for Christmas. And it's the same kind of concept. Your dough will look super, super thin, but by the time you get it on the cannoli form, if it's not almost translucent and you put it in to fry it up, it's just going to get super thick and puffy, and it's not going to fry through the whole way. So that's kind of the same concept that we have going here.
Fantastic. Well, we're moving along pretty nicely. You can see how laborious that this process is to make these things, so it really is a labor of love. But what we're going to do is, just for the purpose of our cooking today, we're going to finish off the remainder of the dough that Joanne is here. We're going to stuff these guys. We're going to toss them into our stock and boil this down. We're going to have this really wonderful Lux soup that's going to come out of this thing. And then we're going to take a few minutes and make a chicken piccata as well. So I would guess that as this is moving right now, I can actually lend a paw and expedite this. I see why you want to have the entire family involved in this process.
Exactly.
It is, you're saying you're doing 250? That's just...
I will do that by myself, and that's about an hour and a half. And that's about enough therapy for me for the day.
We were saying you really just need to grab the family and drink some wine and
That's right.
sit and talk while you're making these little things.
I think that's a good application for many things. Grab the family, drink some wine, and yep.
Get it done.
So I'm just gonna manipulate these a little bit to make them just a little bit larger because I don't have quite the hand technique that you young ladies do. So
When you sit around and do this with the family, this is what you did before the internet was invented, as my mother-in-law would say.
the good old days.
We didn't have TV back then. This is what we did.
Dad. On this, mine that's warm. And so here's the stock I made before you came in today.
Okay.
Real simple kind of thing. We can just kind of put this, I don't know, somewhere. And you drop these in one at a time by hand, or how do you do this?
However you can get them in there without burning yourself. I mean, if you can do
we
like that
lower
and push
them
them in, or if you'd like to
Actually,
ladle them in.
Stick them
Show
in.
me the way.
When I make them, I usually freeze them because I'm making them not for dinner right at that moment. So I will stick them on a tray like this, put them in the freezer till they're frozen, and then stick them in Ziploc bags. So it's easier to dump them out of a Ziploc bag frozen into the boiling water.
I bet. Well, cool. That was pretty darn simple, actually.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now?
Okay.
I'm in there
I'm
now.
gonna wash
No,
my
I
hands.
think not yet. I think. So I'm feeling it right now. The dough is still not quite set, so it's going to go back in for a minute. So again, we probably need about 4 or 5 more minutes on this to really make it hum. I guess to increase the temperature, I'll put our hot pan back on here just to kind of boost the temperature a little bit, move that up. And then, like I said, about 4 minutes or so, we're going to pull these things out, and I bet they're going to be just about exactly where Joanne wants them to be
Absolutely.
with her husband's mother's recipe.
Yes.
Is Mom still alive?
Yes, she is.
Fantastic.
And
Well, make
she's-
sure to send a clip of this to her.
I did tell her that I was going to make these, and she did say that she would love to help, but she's back in Pennsylvania, and
I'm sure she'll be-
she would be right in there. She's
sure she'll
90,
be
but
proud
she
to see you
would
do
definitely
this.
jump in and
Excellent.
do this.
And Maria stepped in for a while. I'm very happy that our sous chef came on to experience the fun of these. Maybe this will be a menu item for us at some point.
Just judging by the smell, I think I would love that.
They
Smells delicious.
Sure do smell good. And I also just made for people that didn't see the stock as I began that 2 hours before the process.
Okay.
I just wanted them to see how easy it was to stick a chicken in a pot. And,
Oh, for
you know,
sure.
So, what I often like to do is I like to take a little oil first, and I like to rotate it and get a little more caramelized skin tone, and I can get more depth of flavor. But this is the way to do it, right here, in a pot and water.
That's how I start all my chicken soups.
There you go. They look divine. So we might need a moment or two longer, but they really just look divine. Fun little hats.
Yes.
Folks, thanks for hanging out with us that last couple of minutes for these to finish off. And they just look sublime. You can see how they've expanded a little bit, and the sheen is just right. So we're going to serve this as if it were a family style. And of course, then we can break it down at will. But is there ever anything green that goes in here as well?
I suppose if you wanted to look a little pretty, you could put a little parsley on there, but sprinkled cheese on top too.
Oh, cheese. I love the cheese idea quite a bit. And since this is here, I've also got a little bit of chive from the Shaker's Garden, and this is going to kind of adorn this as well. But yeah, parsley would be dynamic on here. I just don't feel like running downstairs. Cooler. There we are.
Here we go.
So, your thoughts, Chef?
It was fun to make with you.
There you go.
Manja.
Cool. Look forward to you next time. Manja.
Yes,
Thank you
manja.
very much. Cheers.